Now, with Bhagavan's grace, let us continue where we left off last session. We covered a few things very briefly in order to some of the things that we normally hear, but what they really mean, moksha, vidya, the obstacles, panchakosangal, the ashta vargam, the 6 enemies we have, plus the additional 4 enemies that we talked about, dambham, darpam, Irshya and Asuya and all that, right? And also we covered briefly the Ashtanga Yoga, the various parts of it, how many types of yoga are there, then how many types of, what are the various types of the auxiliaries, the parts of Yama and Niyama and Pranayama. We looked at, Laghu Pranayama. Then Pratyahara, which is how many types of Pratyahara are there, right? And then Dharana and Dhyanam and Samadhi. There is only one type of Dharana and one type of Dhyanam. And Samadhi, of course, there is only one. Now let us move on and take up the Sutras, Sutrani as it is called in Sanskrit, that given to us by the sage, the Rishi Patanjali. Sutra means very short sentences with extremely economical on words. Very few words actually will be said, but they convey profound meanings. They explain things, the profundity in the simplicity that they really are. The more perfect you become, the more simple actually you become. Perfection is nothing but simplicity. So the sutras give us the teaching, explain what things are in an extremely concise and precise manner without wasting words. Atha Yoga Anusasanam. That is the very first sutra. Okay? Now Patanjali Yoga Sutra itself is into kind of, we want to call it as 4 chapters so that we understand it in modern language. The first about 50 slokams, the first 51 slokams actually talk about, what the yoga is, what yoga is, and what the aims of yoga are. And the second chapter, so to speak, talks about the yoga and the practice of it. That is about 54 slokams after that. And then the third chapter teaches us the powers that one obtains when one does yoga properly. That is about 56 slokams. And then the last 33 slokams talk about liberation, mukti, moksha, freedom. So we start on the very first chapter, Atha Yoga Anusasanam. Now what we will do, I will take it a little bit slower, and you can tell me if it is too slow or too fast. Then correspondingly, we will cover whatever number of sutras that Bhagavan wants us to cover in the time allotted. Atha, thereafter, I will recite the thing in Sanskrit. At the end of the session, we will recite whatever sutras that we learned that day, so that you also feel comfortable. You will find it is actually very simple. There is nothing complicated about it. It is actually one of the simplest things that you can speak. The words are all not difficult, but you need to understand, pay attention and understand the meanings very precisely. So with Bhagavan's grace, we leave the session with clarity. Okay? Very important. There should be no confusion in one's mind. Clarity is of most important. Atha Yoga Anusasanam. Atha Yoga Anusasanam. That's the way the sutra is written. I'll break it down into words. Atha, thereafter. Anusasanam, instruction, the direction, the teaching of yoga. Yoga means, we use the word in English, union, becoming one with, and all that. Yes, they're all correct. You can look at it another way also. Yoga simply means the absence of the feeling of separation from yourself, from the indescribable selfless love that each one of us is but we feel separate from it. We are not one with it. When the feeling of separation goes away and you become one with it, that is yoga. That is first sutra. Second one, yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yogas chitta vritti nirodhaha. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodhaha. Nirodhaha means to eliminate, to make it completely absent. And the common word some people use is to kill. Actually, there's no killing involved. It is really, it dissolves and it disappears permanently, because all the appearances and the disappearances that we are going through, everything is temporary, as we know. But when something that has appeared disappears permanently, dissolves into where it came from, so it doesn't come back again, that is nirodhaha. And what are we talking about? What is the Rishi telling us here? Yogaha. What is yogam? He says, very first, I'm going to instruct you on yogam, and then he begins in the second sutra by saying, yoga is only this, chitta vritti nirodhaha, that's all. So, what is chittam? What is vritti? Okay, we'll think about a little bit. All these are mind-related, our internal universe related. We are so much active in the external world, but the internal world is what the Rishi is talking about. And vritti means to multiply, to become more and more, right? And what is becoming more and more within us, even though in spite of whether you accumulate more wealth or not, or you lose some money, or whatever it is happening in the external world, internal world, things are always increasing. And what are those? Are our thoughts and desires. One gets fulfilled and 10 desires come after that, right? Keeps on increasing. And the feeling that I am so and so, the feeling what we call as ahamkaram. Have you ever seen the ahamkaram getting decreased? It's only increasing, isn't it? It's always there. And then we have this internal impulse that directs us, that says, don't do this, don't lie, that is not good, and take this path, this is right for you, right? Go towards Bhagavan. That thought is coming also, right? That direction is also coming. And so, when you look at it, the world is full of desires, thoughts come from desires, and they keep multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. And then there is also another thing that is behind it that says, no, don't do this, this is not good for you, do this, this is good for you, right? It is directing us, the discrimination. And then behind all this, there is a constant and sometimes even an exploding feeling, so to speak, not feeling, but exploding experience that we have internally that says ahamkaram. I am so and so. How can he humiliate me? How can he talk ill of me? Who is he? Things I have to go my way. All these things are there. And somebody makes simplest example that we all can put on the test of touchstone, so to speak, is somebody makes not a very positive comment about our child. My God, how do we react? Did Dhruva's mother react like that? So we have to think. And these are the ahamkaram. So ahamkaram, buddhi, is a discriminating faculty, the discriminating skill, the discriminating gift that we have, the blessing that we have, buddhi, and the mind, manas. Manas is very simply, right now, we're all in the control of our mind. We must actually control our mind. We must manage our mind rather than being managed by it. Right? Then become We should become a mastermind, as Swami says. We must become master of our mind. But right now, mind is mastering over us. Right? So all the agitations that take place internally, the antakaranam, right? Antakaranam, internal doership, internal deeds, internal doing that we all have, that is Chittam. Just think for a second. All these teachings, take it from the page of the book that you're looking into, or the printout that you're looking into, or on the screen of the iPad or whatever you're using. Take it from there and put it internally, personally to you. Then it will become very clear. It will make lots of sense. Take it personally. Everything is a very personal touching that the Rishi is doing for us. So, yogaha chitta vritti. So it keeps on multiplying and multiplying and multiplying. Nirodha, to eliminate it. So how does it multiply? Why does it multiply? Well, that's the nature. That's its nature. The nature of external world, the creation, so to speak, is only expansive. Its nature is to expand, not to contract. Even the universe is expanding. We all know that, right? Everything is expanding. So the thoughts also expand. As we saw in an earlier session, when you throw a stone on a very calm, serene pond, a lake, what happens? We see that. Physically, we see the ripples moving and widening in circles, right? Thoughts are like that. They keep expanding and expanding and expanding. Nirodha, how to eliminate it? What should I do? The process of not only the vritti has to be eliminated and dissolved, Chittam itself must be dissolved and eliminated to make disappear, because Chittam by very nature is to vritti only. So what do I do? How do I do that? The process of doing that is yogam. Yogaha chitta vritti nirodha. Now, let us go to Sutra number 3. Tada drashtuhu sarupa avasthanam. Tada drashtuhu sarupe vasthanam. So the words are tada drashtuhu sarupa avasthanam. Sarupa avasthanam. Avasthanam. What does avasthanam mean? Avasthanam means several things, but it all points to a stable condition, if you will. We say right now in some Sanskritam, you would have heard the word, we are all in the waking state, as they say, or dreaming state, right? And the word that is used is Jagrata Avastha, right? Swapna Avastha, Sushupti Avastha. See, Avastha is the word that comes, and in Tamil, in colloquially, we say, Avastha Padra. See, that means a question of difficulty, right? But that's not what it acts. Avasthana means to the condition that you are in. And the condition is a stable condition. It also denotes a certain stability. And that is, condition means what? That is where you actually live. You live in the condition. Yad bhavam tad bhavati. The condition that mentally you're going through is where you live. That is your dwelling. That's where you reside. All these are included in the word avasthanam. So what does it mean? Tada, then at that time, when chitta vritti nirodha, Once that takes place, at that time, Swarupa avasthanam drashtuhu. Swarupa, the own self. What is one's own self? What is that condition? What is that state? Swarupa drashtuhu is seen. He sees it. Sees it means not with their external eyes. You experience it. Okay? So, when yogaha, chittavritti nirodhaha, tada drashtuhu swarupa avasthanam. Now, as we saw earlier, when we talked about the Panchabhutangal manufacturing the body we are and also being present in them, and we saw how the various Panchabhutangal, each element is present in 5 different ways in us. When we talked about Akasam, what is the first way it is present? As Jnata, as a knower, right? So here, Drashtuhu Swarupa Avasthanam. And the question was also asked earlier in our preliminary discussion. We said, what happens in Moksham? At that point, is the knower present? Is the Jnata present? No. The Jnata cannot be present. The Jnata be present means that he feels separate from something else. The subject is separate from the object, right? Here, Drashtuhu Swarupa says he sees. So how can it be yoga, tada, right? You have to think. What is he describing? What is the Rishi actually describing here? Okay? So, you can now, from the stage that we are in, instead of, you have a choice. Every moment of our life is a moment of choice. Choice is always constantly present. What is the choice in learning this? I can take this as, academically, the Rishi is describing the goal. This is what it is. It feels good to hear this. I think I've understood something, so I go away happy and I forget it. Or you can take this as a personal teaching or a wake-up call. But I'm not, I don't know what yoga is really. Honestly speaking, truth is very important always. I don't know what it is. So what is he telling me? How can I take this lesson? I take the yoga as a process instead of the goal. It is both a process and a goal. Instead of getting hung up on yoga as a goal, then it becomes an impossibility because I don't understand. If I take it as a process and apply it, it makes sense. Where I am at right now, if I start reducing my desires, which reduces the agitation in my mind, the moment my mental agitation starts reducing, then buddhi does not have a function to perform. It also quiets down. Because once the mind starts calming down, buddhi also doesn't have to keep on directing, don't go there, come here. So that also starts slowing down. The moment my desires reduce and my mind becomes a little bit clearer, automatically I start thinking of Bhagavan. The moment I start directing my mind towards Bhagavan, what happens to my ahamkaram? It starts decreasing. So, chittavritti nirodhaha, even though the nirodhaha may not take place, I am in the right path, the process. Now, at that time, what do I see? Swarupa drashtuhu. I see that there is this love that is within me. I actually become more and more loving. I start experiencing it. So, drashtuhu. Even though I have the feeling of separation from it, I do see it. Right? So we can take it that way, at the process. Then, as you become more skilled at it, it will take its own course. It will guide you. That is its job. Its job is to take you to the goal. My job is to hold its hand and embark on the journey. Make sense? So when you make it personally like this, then you see what the Rishi is actually teaching you. It's a phenomenal lesson. Tada drashtuhu swarupa avasthanam. Sutra number 4. Vritti sarupyam itaha atra. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Vritti sarupyam itaha atra. So, see how many, only 4 words. Most the sutras have either 3 or 4 words, that's all. But phenomenal instruction is given if you listen to it carefully. No confusion. Atra, at other times, otherwise. So when the chitta vritti nirodha is not there, atra, at other times the nirodha is not there, what happens? Vritti sarupyam ita. Ita means, or itaha. Itaha means to return, to come back to. That is what it means. So when my thoughts are, the agitations, internal agitations I have are not quietened down, or not decreased, and still full of agitation, atra, that's what it means, at other times, itaha, I return. Where do I return? Vritti sarupyam. Vritti, the continuous increase of agitations that we have, sarupyam, in that form, I return. That means, when my agitations are not calmed down, I go back to a state of increasing agitations only. Vritti sarupya means the form of increasing agitations. Itaha, I return to it. That is. Okay? So, either it's a go or a no-go, as they say in engineering language. Either you are calm, or if you're not calming your agitations down, if you're not controlling them and reducing them, then you're back where you were, in a state of increasing agitations only. There is no escape from it. So sarupyam here means the form of vritti. Okay? Do you understand? To put it in a very simple way, if you don't reduce the mental agitation, then you continue to be in a state of agitation only. Whereas if you reduce your agitation, then you start seeing who you really are, the form of love. If you don't do it, you'll continue to be agitated. Make sense? Vritti sarupyam itaratra. Sutra number 5. But Swami, now I have not reduced my agitations. Now if you say that if I don't reduce them, I'm going to be only in a state of agitation only. Internally I'm always agitated. Where does this agitation come from? That's the question, correct? An astute student will ask. So this vritti is now very important. So what do I do? Let me understand a bit more about it. So the teacher is teaching. He says, vrittayaha panchatayyaha klishtaha aklishtaha. Vrittayaha panchatayyaha klishtaha. Okay? Vrittayaha. These vritti, the thing that keeps on expanding. Now when you throw a stone, it expands. The ripples expand. Like that, one thought comes, immediately execute it. Then at the end of that execution, what happens? Do you really reach an end? No, it begins another action, another thought, another desire. And this is a beautiful lesson that I've shared with you from Ramayanam. And let me share that with you again. When Rama and Ravana Yuddham was taking place, and Rama, before he actually killed him, prior to that, what does he do? He actually sends, 10 different arrows. Each arrow cuts one head of Ravana. And as soon as the head is cut, the head falls down. You got to picture the scene. It actually happened. So here is Rama knocking one head off, it falls down. And when the head falls down, it doesn't lie static. It jumps up and down and it shouts, in glee, in great happiness. Why? Because where the spot where that head was cut off, another head has grown. And Rama then says, see, this is the nature of desire. If you fulfill one desire and cut it, so to speak, another desire comes. That is greed. So desire leads to greed. So finally when he kills, what does he do? He sends 31 astras. He does. 20 hands and 10 heads. And the 31st astra goes into the spot where Ravana's life actually is, the Hridayam, his heart. That's how Ravana gets killed. Now, the lesson that you must carry is, this vritti vritti comes from desires. It comes from desire. That's all the root cause. Clearly, Bhagavan has given to Arjuna. So let's not get confused. Remember, our objective is to leave the session with clarity. Even if it is one point, let's understand it clearly. So there should be no confusion in the future. The moment somebody says mind, bundle of desire. That's all. Don't worry about it. It's nothing more than that. So that don't get confused. Okay? For your sake. So when Bhagavan teaches, learn and then take it and move on. So vritti, the expansion, that keep on expanding, comes only from desire. And desire is very difficult. If you remove one desire, greed comes. Then ahamkar. So many things. It's not going my way. How can you do? Everything increases, becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, so to speak, right? So he says there is 5 types of this expansion. Panchatayyaha. And what are those 5 types? They could be klishtaha or aklishtaha. Klishtaha, thing that gives you pain, that torment you, that makes life difficult for you, gives you misery. So those are the types of, internally some agitations that gives us pain and they torment us, right? We all know. Bring it personally. So there is that type of vritta is there, klishtaha vrittaha, that torment you and gives you pain, painful agitation, so to speak. Aklishtaha, the painless agitations. Now, there are agitations within us that says, go and do puja. Get up early in the morning at 4 o'clock to do meditation. Immediately, it may say, when it happens, it may sound like they are painful. They are actually painless. Internally, initially they may be unpleasant, but they actually give you good result. But still they are agitations. The goal is to have zero agitation. So neither so-called painful agitations or the non-painful agitations, both have to be sublimated and gotten rid of. Do you understand?
Sure.
So Panchatayyaha, there are 5 types causing painful or non-painful agitations. Okay? Vrittayaha, Panchatayyaha, Klishtaha. So what are those 5 types? Immediately the question comes. The beauty of this is the teacher is so compassionate and so loving. Like the way Bhagavad Gita is taught, like the way you listen to any of the teachings in our scriptures, the rishis, they know, they take us step by step And before we go to the next step, they already tell you what it is. I don't have to ask the question. Swami, then you said there are 5. What are the 5? No, the question is answered. Even he knows, because you have the question, he explains to you in the next one. That's how everything is built. If you talk it beautifully, that's how it is built. Okay, what happens if I don't do Nirodham on my Chittavritti? Then you have to go back and see, everything will answer like that. The unasked questions are already answered in a successive, clear manner. And what better teacher that you really need? It's like a mother taking a small kid to the kindergarten. How will the mother take it? It will hold its hand. And the mother will take a step and walk, and the child will keep on walking. It's like that. The teacher is holding your hand. So the next sutra says what the 5 are. I don't have to ask what the 5 are. It says beautifully again. Remember, very pithy, very clear, very precise. Not a single word is wasted. Like the way we speak in English. The 5 types of vritti are. Nothing like that. It tells you what those 5 are straight away. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, sprutayaha. Pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, sprutayaha. These are the 5 types. Pramanam. We use the word colloquially many times, right? Pramanam means proof. Pramanam means right conduct, the right thought, the correct opinion, personal experience, first-hand experience. So many things are there in Pramanam. Viparyaya means confusion. What are the thoughts that are coming to us? Some of them are right thoughts. Some of them, in my case, most of them are really confusing. They cause only confusion. Viparyaya. Vikalpa. Vikalpa is beautiful because Vikalpa also means one name for Bhagavan. Okay? Because there are so many types of opinions, ideas, perceptions. How you see something is not the way I see it. So when we discuss a point, we use the word brainstorming. I mean, what does it mean? Because each person has got a different idea. And where that idea is a mental agitation. So that is vikalpa. The differences in ideas, the variety of ideas, the variety of perceptions, the variety of opinions, there are so many of them. And if you, right now I see this harmonium sitting in front right here. If I ask you to describe it, you will describe it in one way. And if I ask you to describe, you will describe it not exactly the same way. So there are differences in statements also, not only ideas. The given same thing is described in different ways. So many differences are there. That's all vikalpa, all these agitations. So pramanam, viparyaya, vikalpa, and nidra. Have you ever thought about what sleep is? We'll talk about it. The Rishi is going to explain. Each one of these is going to explain. Rumbar is a most kind mother, the teacher that he is. So don't worry, he's not going to leave us hanging there. Okay? All we have to do is to listen attentively with humility. Vinayam is most important. Without that, the message will bypass you. It will go over your head. So, Nidra is also a form of mental agitation, internal agitations. Why? Because we covered this earlier, right? Before I began the word atha, I took you through a number of these things very quickly. So let me recap. Okay? In the waking stage, in the Jagrata Avastha, yes, we know the agitations we have. We are always agitated. Externally, I might smile. That's nothing. Bhagavan is not taken in by that. But internally, am I smiling is a question. I am not. So many agitations are there. You're always worried about the future and guilty of the past and dissatisfied with the past. We miss the present. We all do that, right? So let us not miss this message. So now what happens when I go to dream sleep? Swapna avastha. That also we suffer. The agitations are there. Yes or no? Good agitation, bad agitations, so many things. But agitations are there. Then you go to the step beyond that, the deep sleep. We call it sushupti. No agitations. Off. Mind is not there. Buddhi is not there. But the knower is present. Ahamkaram is present. So agitation is there. So nidra. Okay. The fifth one is smriti. Smriti is, my God, is the I don't know whether we can call it, everything in Bhagavan is really a blessing and a gift. So it's also, I must say it is a gift. But smriti means memory. That you have experienced something and you are carrying the impression of it. A newly born baby, what memory does it have? Prior to birth, we have mentioned, we have covered this earlier, as given in Bhagavatam, that before we get pushed out of our mother's womb, even the instant before it takes place, I am completely in touch with Bhagavan. I have Bhagavan's form in my mind. I feel separate from Bhagavan, but I am fully in touch with him. I am at the lotus feet. I'm crying to him, praying to him, pleading to him, please don't kick me out because I know I'll forget you. But I've decided to carry out my karma, to get rid of the karma load, so I'm pushed out. Then my memory is what? 1 second before, I was somewhere else. Now, I have no memory. I have vasanas. Right? Vasanas are different from memories. Okay? So vasanas that cause the agitations. But memory is my experiences that I go through, and based upon that I have some impressions that now when somebody gets into Alzheimer's, they don't have memory. Memory is taken away. Right? So these are the 5 types in which vritti takes place. Pramanam, viparyayam, vikalpam, nidrai, and smriti. Okay? Now, just watch how compassionate with each other. Next sutra, in just one sutra, that's all. For one sutra each, he is going to describe what each one of these are. Beautiful. Next sutra he says, Pratyaksha Anumana Agamaha Pramanani. What is Pramanam? He is describing beautifully. Pramanani. Because there are so many right actions, right ideas, right? What are those? Pratyaksha, Anumana, Agamaha, Pramanani. 3 types of Pramanam are there. Pratyaksha Pramanam, Anumana Pramanam, Agama Pramanam. That's all we have to worry about. Pratyaksham, first-hand experience. That is Pramanam. That's proof. Pramanam, when I experience Bhagavan first-hand, not from a book, not from somebody telling me, when somebody is narrating the stories and glories of Bhagavan in Bhagavatam, and the person is narrating his own experience, and he sheds tears, and I am listening to it, I shed tears also, I experience something. I experience the touch of Bhagavan. And even if your own mother comes and says, no, that why are you doing? Will you listen? Impossible. Because you know, pratyaksha pramanam, first hand what you have experienced is unshakable. Okay? That is pratyaksha pramanam. Anumana pramanam. Now, by inference. So, the classic example people give, which I will also share with you, but I'll also share one more experience with you. So, we always infer. The classic thing is, if there is a smoke, there must be a fire. That means, no smoke without fire, right? And like this we infer in many ways. Yesterday, we were at the Karyasiddhi temple. And we went there, I can share this, on a lighter vein, because somebody came and told us also on a Saturday, Sunday, they serve excellent sambar. I said, fine, we have to go try it out. So we went there. And like some people go to the temple to pray, and when I go to this Swaminarayan temple, I go to the restaurant first. I don't go to the temple because I'm drawn there. So same way here, let's go and try the sambar. That was our objective. But we went to the temple and did the prakaram, navagraham and all that. And then we came to the registration desk, and the board said canteen is open 5 p.m., whatever, to 9 p.m. or something. We were there in the afternoon time. So we said, okay, we were very hungry also. Fine, okay, so no food. So we got into the car, and as we were driving out, there was this other hall there, the previous thing, the other hall. And lots of people, Indians, were all walking towards that hall. That is what I saw. Now I inferred, if all the Indians are going there, maybe must be food there. Right? So we parked the car and went in. Yes, there was food being served. So this is Anumana Pramanam. So we do this all the time, right, in the world. Understood? Now, Agama Pramanam. Agama means Vedas. Things that have been described to us, given to us as the truth, as a right thing to do. Those are the three types, okay? From the Vedas, from personal experience, through inference, and from the Vedic scriptures, we learn, we understand what the right, correct thing to do, what the dharma is. Now the problem is, that creates an agitation in the mind. Remember, pramana chittam, and that becomes vritti. Please, the lotus feet is the only one. Anything other than that is chitta vritti. Even though it may be talking about lotus feet, it is still chittam only. Do you understand? First type. Second, okay, so pratyakshanumana gamaha pramanani, pratyaksha anumana agamaha pramanani. Now, sutra number 8. Viparyayo nitya ajnana mata ajnanam tat rupa pratishtham. Here, more than 4 words are there. So let me break it for you. Viparyayaha. What is confusion? What is the chittam that is always giving confusing agitations? That, okay, mitya, ajnana matat, rupa pratishtham. Viparyayaha, mitya, ajnanam, tat rupa pratishtham. Remember, earlier we talked about vritti sarupyam. Here, what the Rishi is beautifully describing, see, everything is a form of God. So he sees Bhagavan in everything. So he ascribes form to it. Like thoughts have a form. That's what he says. Like that he says, Ajnanam tat rupam. Ajnanam itself, ignorance also is a form, the form of ignorance. Ajnanam tat rupa pratishtam simply means mithya ajnanam. Now mithya is very important. Mithya means something that is not true, that is false. Why do we get confused? Let me explain it. Where do the confusing agitations come from? You are confused because you take the false to be true. The moment I take the false to be true, automatically I am confused. Isn't it? That's what he is saying. So confusing agitations are nothing but the ignorance caused by false understanding, false perceptions. Okay? To put it in modern English. Okay? Now, Rupa Pratishthitam means it gets established in that form. In the what form? Mithya Rupa Pratishtham. It gets established in the form of falsehood. Once it gets established in the form of falsehood, what comes? Ajnanam comes, ignorance comes. And that causes Viparyayam. Do you understand the Sanskrit now? Is it clear? Okay.
Viparyayam is also agitation.
Viparyayam is confusing agitation. That's the second type of chittam that he talked about. Remember, there are 5 types. First one is pramanam, which is the so-called the good, the right, the dharmic agitations, the seeking the dharma. Second type of agitation, we have confusions, confusing agitations. And where does the confusing agitation come from? Understanding the false to be true. Okay? Now you understand the Sanskrit words, very important. Mithya Rupa Pratishtham. That Ajnanam. Okay? You understand?
Sure.
From there comes Viparyaya. Viparyaya Mithya Ajnanamate Rupa Pratishtham. Number 9. Third one is what? Vikalpam. Right? Out of the Panchatayaha Chittam, right? Talking about Vritti. Sabda Jnana Anupati Vastu Sunyaha Vikalpaha. Vikalpa. Now Vikalpam again, let me recapitulate for you. Again, differences in various, differences in perception, difference in statements, the way we see, differences in ideas. So many things, even though we all look at the same thing. So many differences are there. But where does the Vikalpam come from? Sabdajnana Anupati Vastu Sunya Vikalpaha. See, when we see something and we describe it, and the differences come, even when you talk about what does the Veda say, sir, what does Bhagavad Gita teach? Teaching is the same words, but I describe it in one way, somebody describes it in another way. Why does all these differences come? Differences come because the words that we use to describe things do not correspond or capture the truth. It's impossible. If I ask you to describe, sir, you had a cup of coffee this morning, right? Filter coffee. Okay, describe the taste. You describe it. And then somebody else has the same coffee. And the
only experience.
Exactly. Right. So, because words cannot capture reality. Simple, basic truth. Because they cannot capture reality, they describe something that is not real. Something that falls short of reality, that's deficient. Therefore, differences come. Isn't it? Same thing. It doesn't even reality. Even if I ask you to describe me, for example, how will you describe, and somebody else describes me, and look at me as a form, those cannot capture it. Impossible. So, how beautifully the Rishi describes this. Because the words fall short and cannot describe it, because they describe it in different ways, differences come. And beauty is Sabdamayi. Bhagavan is present in the form of sound. Very important. But he is beyond words. He is even beyond the Pranava Sabdam. Isn't it? So how can words describe him? Right? So naturally differences come. So when I hear the different agitations come because of that. So I have the dharmic agitation, the thing that point me in the right way. I have confusing agitations because of my confusion. Then I have various differences that I see, even though there is no differences, but I see differences because of description. I describe myself also in a different way. Why I am not able to see unity everywhere? Because I describe only differences. Just look at the way we all talk to each other. It's my family, your family, no, your thing. All the differences we create. So all the agitation comes from the differences we create. Right? Through the sabdam. Okay? Fourth one, nidrai. So this one, sabdanyana anupati. Anupati means coming close to. That means the Sanskrit part of it. Anupati, coming close to. Yeah, coming close to means what? Approaching. To be with, in this case. What is it close to? Sabdanyana. The knowledge that is coming from the words. What that means? What the words describe and convey. Anupati, getting close to it. Holding on to words and what they mean. That's what it means, right? In our modern language. Vastu sunyaha. By doing that, vastu, a thing that exists, sunyaha, I really make it non-existent because I'm not able to describe it well. So I'm not capturing it. Vastu sunyaha. Understand? That becomes vikalpaha. Okay? Now, sutra number 10. Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi nidra. Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi nidra. So the agitations that take place about nothingness, let's put it in one simple way, that is nidrai, that is sleep. We'll cover that in a minute. Agitations taking place about dharma, right? And because we talk about is this dharma, it is not adharma, right? Those agitations, wanting to touch the lotus feet, the agitations come. That is pramana. Confused and confusing agitations or viparyayam. That I don't know how to describe. We all have, what it is. Vikalpam, because of the differences and ideas and perceptions I have. Agitations comes because of that. Right? That is vikalpam. Now, nidrai is number 10 we are in. Abhavam. Abhavam means absence. Okay? One meaning of abhavam is absence. Absence of what? Pratyaya alambana. Now, alambana simply take it as something that is the base, that is supporting something. Okay? Now, I'll describe the meaning to you in a minute. First, the Sanskrit words. Okay? Alambana means something, a support. And what supporting what? Pratyaya. Means the something that is fundamental. What is fundamental to all of us? What is the fundamental support we have? Pratyaya alambana, put it that way, is dharma. Right? Is satyam. Is love. Right? So, when I am absent from it, okay? And what are the agitations that take place within me? That is sleep. Sir, how can it be? I've got so many agitations right now in my mind. We just talked about pramanam, viparyaya, vikalpam. And now all of a sudden we say that when there is absence of love, in other words, absence of the basic support of that supporting our life, right? The agitation that take place, you call it as nidra. Yes, we are all sleeping right now because we are not one with the love that we really are. We are operating on the planes of selfishness and self-aggrandizement. Our thoughts are not loving thoughts. They're all selfish thoughts. So I am sleeping, I am asleep to love. Love is pratyaya alambana. The fundamental thing that is supporting. Abhavam, I am absent to that. But in that envelope, absent of the feeling of selfless love, all the agitation that take place is the agitations of sleep, of nidra. Understand? Not really. Okay. The moment we say nidra, we think of going to our bedroom and lying down at night and sleeping. Okay? Now, that is one form of sleep. In that, let's take that form of sleep first. There are two things that we're going to talk about. There, we said we go into swapnavasthai, into the dream state, and we get agitations. At that point, what is my basis of support? I am not walking, my limbs are not moving, right? All my senses are all absent. So, in the absence of the fundamental thing that makes me alive, the vritti take place, the thoughts, agitations take place. That is one way to look at nidra. Then I go into the deep sleep, okay, even my manas is also absent, which is now manas is also a basis of a support for my life. That's also absent. I still have that ahankaram is there, and I have some agitation. That's also nidra. Now, that is in the bedroom. All the chittangal we go through that we can easily relate to. Now, if we look at another way, even though I get pushed out of my mother's womb and I live, so-called I take birth, I'm alive, I open my eyes and kick around and all that, I am really asleep to the dharma, to the love that is within me. The moment I get into selfishness and self-aggrandizement and lead my so-called life, am I really waking or am I really asleep? Have I woken up? This is what Bhagavad Gita teaches in Sankhya Yoga. When it talks about the yogi who has achieved, so we are, in one way to look at it is all the agitation that is taking place within us is abhava pratyaya alambana. So this is the sleep that we are in, the true sleep, not the night time sleep that we have, right? So you can take it both ways. Understand? One way is the agitations in our swapnavasthai and sushupti avasthai. When you relate it in comparison to the jagrata avastha, which we think we are alive, right? Well, another thing is if you compare to the Paramatma himself, this whole thing is only sleep only. And all the agitations we go through, isn't it? Understood? Okay, let's do one more thing and then we'll stop for today. Abhava pratyaya alambana vrittihi nidra. Okay? So, those agitations are called sleep. See, it is not it's not like a lack of agitation. Please remember, nidra, those vrittihi are called nidra. Those agitations is called sleep. How do you define sleep? Just think for a second. Sleep is also agitations only. Okay? Number 5. Smriti, very important. Maybe we should take it up in the next class because of lack of time. Yes. We'll take this up in the next session, because we need to understand what memory is. Smriti means memory. So let me just read it and we'll go through the meaning in the next session. Anubhuta Vishaya Sampramoshaha Smritihi. Anubhuta Vishaya Sampramoshaha Smritihi. So what is memory? We have to think about it. Okay? What is memory? I don't remember, sir, we say. But what is memory? Forget the brain side of it. We can only explain, yes, memory part of the brain is this and all that. That neuron going there. That is scientific explanation. But what makes it, that data bank, that thing to get retrieved? Right? So we need to understand that. So we'll cover that next class.